Keeks, and I'm the digital editor here at Hairdressers Journal. And today we are joined by the wonderful Lance Lowe. Hi, Lance.
Yeah! Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
What is in that cup, Lance?
Say again, Babs?
What's in that cup?
This rum and coffee. Wagwan.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Lance. So we're going to talk about your career and just like where you get your inspiration from, where it all started, and how you became known as an underground hairdresser as well. So I think the first question, I'm being really selfish here, by the way, because I've wanted to know about your career, but I keep going, wait, let's do a live. So where did it all start for you?
Very quickly, it started back in the best city in the country, Birmingham. I'm actually from a little town called Handsworth. I'm the original, as they call it, from Handsworth. And I left school around about 14, kind of thrown out. That's a story.
You left voluntarily, or you were literally thrown out?
I was thrown out. I can't tell you the story, but I was thrown. So 14, can you believe that? So I got a Saturday job in a Jewish tailor company called Jonathan Silver's, and they were really cool guys. They made these amazing suits, everybody, for $29.99. You know. And you know, to be honest, I used to see all these people come into the shop, and they're all very cool. They all had great hair. And one day, one of these guys said, "Listen, you'd make a great hairdresser." And I said, "What?" I said, "Okay, can you hold scissors and things like that?" And I said, "Well, actually, I'm trained to be a tailor." But where I was training was at this college, and they had me in a basement on my own, and it wasn't a very good vibe, I have to tell you there. So I kind of connected with an amazing hairdresser, which only kind of over the years, now I realise he was the Don. And his name was Teasy Weezy Raymond.
Okay.
Teasy Weezy Raymond. Actually, he trained Sassoons, Vidal Sassoon, just a little bit. Then he had this amazing base in Birmingham. And I kind of just, as a little shampoo boy, watching this guy who would drive around in a pink Rolls Royce. He was the first.
Teasy Weezy.
As the Japanese would say, he was the first karisuma hairdresser. In other words, he was the guy in front of the TV, behind the screens, doing all the stars, Teasy Weezy. And I was only there for 6 months because it was kind of like shampoo and set. That was going on in the time.
Yeah. And
I kind of left there and then thought I could cut hair. I couldn't. And I joined this other company, and that was by the name of Browns in Newcastle, all up north. You can hear the voices going now, all up north, which is amazing. That's probably what's doing it. And so I was a kind of like a rock and roll mod hairdresser. Couldn't cut hair because I was following fashion. Even my haircut was like a flat thing.
Yeah.
And some of the guys I worked with were brilliant because music was just changing from the mods and stuff like that. And punk was kind of coming in, and a mate of mine, Kevin Rowland, also couldn't cut hair. So I said to him, "Kevin, we both can't cut hair. This can't carry on. I'm going to go and join another company." And he said, "Well, I'm going to just carry on cutting the hair." But I didn't know he had a band. That band turned out to be Dex's Midnight Runners. Boom, the story goes on from there. Kevin Rowland becomes Dex's Midnight Runners. I then go into Vidal Sassoon, and just opened up at the Rotunda in Birmingham. Woo! Wow. Vidal there himself said I had great hands. And I went, fantastic. And he said, "Come down to London," like that. So I went down to London, had a shop on Bond Street, amazing shop, must be about 5 or 6 floors. And he said, "Go upstairs, Lance." I went upstairs, top 2 floors were flats, because I had no money. I only had the shirt on my back.
Yeah.
And he said, "Listen, I'm going to take you and these 7 other people, and you're going to be my disciples."
Wow.
It gets better. I had 3 years of free training. Yes, I had to do shampoos and stuff from Vidal. And you have to take a final test, which was amazing. I had about 20 models for this final test, which at the time was outrageous. But, when you're a club guy, you can find people and characters. And so my whole test was a shebang on its own.
Wow.
Passed the test thanks to Vidal. Gave me a suitcase and he said, "Travel the world." as a teacher. And as I got into the whole teaching process in the early 70s, I had to take elocution lessons, because you probably wouldn't understand that until I told you that I was from Birmingham, Udroit, Peaky Blinders.
Was it a lot of your drawl a lot thicker?
Beyond. I was a proper, all right, so let's get the reggae on. But
wow.
we went on. And, you know, that's how it kind of started anyway. I'm very fortunate to have met Fidel. To be honest, if there were guys like him today, you know, there'd be a lot less troubles, I would say. And hopefully I could be one of those guys. I always took a point of Vidal in trying to help any hairdresser that wanted direction.
Yeah.
Free of charge.
Wow. So that's where you did like your training and your initial bulk of like learning. Where did you get your first job as a hairdresser?
So as I said, I have to rewind. My first job as a hairdresser before Sassoon's.
No, after. So like, where did you find your first like base?
My story is different.
Okay.
So my first base as a hairdresser, was actually Vidal Sassoon, Davis Street, as a teacher. Now, I have a couple of stories here. Okay, the very first base, here we go. I'm giving you the truth. If anyone's listening to this, they're going to go, what? So in Birmingham, Vidal Sassoon was there for maybe 4 or 5 years. And things were so cool in those days. You know, you could make money, you could do all the crazy haircuts. I mean, for example, a client would come into me in 1976 in the salon in Birmingham and said, Lance, I want to keep all the length. I went, perfect, I'll keep all the length. But I had the technology to crop the crown of their hair and connect the whole length. Wow. So when it fell, it looked like this beautiful coupe sauvage or a shaggy haircut. Yeah. And the young lady would, no complaints, because she's kept the length, but it'd be like Rod Stewart on the top. But that was the look of the time.
So good. Rachel Gibson, the hair historian, is watching. I don't know if you know, obviously you know Rachel.
I do know Rachel. How are you, love? on IG, we're pals, I have to say.
Good. She's so great. So that was your first, in Davis Street was your first?
Davis Street. So my first job was at Raymond's, as I said earlier on, and then Brown's, Dex's Midnight Runners, Punk, then Sassoon's retrained me to be able to cut hair properly in Davis Mews. This is where the Sassoon School was back then. And to mention a couple of really brilliant hairdressers who are kind of very luckily tripped over. One was Roger Thompson. I don't know if anyone knows him, but he was one of the guys that performed and cut many of the Sassoon iconic haircuts. Yeah. And there's a lovely guy who trained me in Davis Mews. His name was Flint Winthrop, who's out of New Zealand. And he's a character nobody really mentions, but actually he's a wonderful dude.
Amazing.
And obviously one more back, because if there are any historians and there are somebody listening, you need to Google these people. And that was Darrell Benson. Darrell Benson, his hands were just amazing when he cut hair and how he explained hair.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Rachel said, why don't we have a film about Raymond yet?
About?
Raymond.
Wow, you should. Paul Raymond? No. Raymond. Teasy Weezy. Okay, but mind you, they were very similar characters, but he was an amazing hairdresser. He was the first guy kind of doing all these punk colours, but back in the 50s on hair. You know, pinks, blues, greens.
Yeah. Do you miss that kind of era where people, I suppose actually now we're getting into it with like Gen Z and stuff being a bit more experimental with their hair, but do you miss like those eras of hairdressing?
I think for me, it's like 1 foot in the past and two eyes in the present. There's a reference to everything. And that's the key. For the young hairdresser, there's a reference to everything. Yes, you can put your own stamp on it, but I would always just look back for a minute and just have a look and then make it your own. That's what I would do. It's as simple as that.
Lorraine said, I saw Raymond when I was a student 35 years ago. He was a judge for a hairdressing competition I was in.
Oh,
Yeah.
incredible. And that reminds me, that reminds me of another story, not about Raymond, but hairdressing competitions.
Yeah.
Before I joined Sassoon's, because we're talking early days,
Yeah.
sneaked into a little salon in the Bullring Centre. All right, sorry, and that was called Hair by Michael. And I think he may be, if he's not, he should be listed. There's a great guy by the name of Adrian Taylor out of Birmingham, a really cool hairdresser in Harbour somewhere.
Yeah.
He would cut hair. He wouldn't blow dry, and I would blow dry. This is what we used to do then. You know, he'd do all the haircuts on his clients, and I would just blow dry. And I got so good at the blow dries, I would change his haircuts into these amazing 3D hairdos, just with a brush. Mind you, everybody, not with a round brush, with a Leighton styler. Google that one.
I've literally not heard of that. Maybe I might.
Leighton styler.
A Leighton styler.
This is another fantastic. Leighton styler was designed by Harold Leighton, who's a fabulous hairdresser, you know, also a mentor, and he was part of the Sassoon original team. A brilliant chap.
Cool. So when you started in your career, did you face like any setbacks? Was it maybe the fieriness that got you kicked out of school?
You know what? The Birmingham attitude, I'm just generalising. We're but the accent gives us this low key, you know, laid back vibe. But we just keep pushing through things. So when I look back, and you know, thank you for anybody listening to me, because I will jump around here. But when I look back, I think I'm very fortunate, because I was at Sassoon's. Then I left Sassoon's and opened my own shop in Birmingham, which was brilliant. And you know, in those days we had people who put the money with like robes and would turn up in white Rolls Royces for the cash.
Wow.
But we did, you know, we did a few good things, and then we closed that, and then there was another guy. We came to London and rejoined Sassoon's again. So I've had two trainings at Villa Sassoon, not just one, by the way. So with Sassoon's in the 70s to 1980, and then I left Sassoon's for maybe 2 years. Then I rejoined again in 83 or 84. Then I left them again in 91. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of old school history that really nobody knows about until now.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here to share it with us.
So,
but yeah, did you face any setbacks during that time at all? Or like what? Because I always think that when you have a setback, it pushes you to go further. So what have you experienced that has kind of pushed you to become the hairdresser that you are now?
I think it's a brilliant question. I mean, you know, when I came to London the second time, one setback was that I was already, when I left, I'd already become not an art director, an assistant art director, but I had to come back and start again. And the first day back in Sloane Street, they made me jump on the tables and clean windows, you know. And these are the guys I trained a few years before.
Wow.
How about that for a setback? It's not a setback, but you know.
Yeah.
There's a story in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Other setbacks. I mean, when I talk about Vidal Sassoon, I talk about him basically as a wonderful man. You know, when I talk about the company, the legacy for Sassoon's is the training. So any hairdresser that, even today, I would say, try and get on a course there at least at the beginning. As a man of color, this, you know, it's not a setback. It was early days or early doors. There wasn't many of us. I think I may have been one of two black guys there.
Yeah.
The other guy, a master craftsman, H. Peters, a dude of dudes. Again at Sassoon's, he was amazing. You know, did all the stars, travel the world. So he was, in a way, was kind of my mentor. I was always aiming at him.
Yeah.
And
you
can only go so far in that company. You can only go so far.
Right, got you. So you speak about him as being like a mentor figure. Who else did you look to as a mentor? Obviously, Sassoon the man, but and who do you look to now as being like inspirational in the industry?
Brilliant question. Ooh la la. So I suppose people I look up to. Well, there was one guy who was a mentor. His name was Romain, and he worked in Paris in the 90s. He
Yeah,
was a session hairdresser. And I went over there on a holiday once, and he worked at Patrick LA, which is Fleet Plage. And, I got speaking to this guy, and I saw something different, a different vision of a hairdresser. And
yeah,
at the time, I was still at Sassoon's, and Roman said, Lance, come over and help on Paris Fashion Week. This was about
okay,
1983, 80, somewhere around there.
okay,
So I said, yeah, okay. I dived over there on my own. So I went back to Sassoon's. I spoke to the guy, the powers that be, said, I'm going to go over to Paris. I said, okay. They were wonderful. They gave me a sabbatical. Go on over there, Lance.
wow,
So, no, they were very open to go over there. So I was over in Paris with this chap. And what you have to understand, there's two camps in those days, hairdressers and haircutters. And I was a hair cutter.
right,
So I joined this team of French, you've got to hear this story. Let me finish. I joined this team of French hairdressers and Romain for Claude Montana, huge show. And I remember them all wheeling out their brushes to start the models. Now this is back in the 1983, even earlier, 83. And so I'm total geometric, Bauhaus influence, architectural hairdresser.
yeah,
So I went with a comb and a Denman brush. Curly tongs.
wow,
Yeah. And I set my three and my scissors, and I went, bring on the models. And I didn't speak French then, and I'm not going to tell you what they said to me there. They were laughing. And then when I realized it was hairdressing, I mean, beyond hairdressing, it was hairdressing scaffolding.
wow,
That was a baptism by fire. I came back to Sassoon's and I spoke to the powers that be, said, you guys, listen, I'm going to have to leave for the third time and go work in Paris. And they politely said, go on.
yeah,
So I went over to Paris and I jumped on board with Roman at Patrick Calais, and I just went around doing all the shows for him for a couple of seasons and learned how to do all the scaffolding hairdressing.
wow,
So that guy taught me a lot. I mean, he would do 10, 15, I'm not joking, shows in a day. He was that good. And he would have teams of us running around from show to show, prep, start, finish, prep, start, finish.
wow.
Incredible. I don't know if it's still alive, to be honest. It'd be interesting if it's still alive.
We'll look him up after when we log out of here, definitely.
So he's the guy that set me off looking at the Paris vibes, and then there was obviously other guys will know who Julian Diaz is, and obviously my English heart goes to Eugene Solomon, Sam McKnight, and obviously really cool dudes who are kind of a little bit younger, but Peter Gray, what I mean. Anybody in the trade will know those guys and be nodding like that. So,
well, it was at Eugene's hairdressing live show that we met, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Brilliant, wasn't it?
It was so great. I don't think I was meant to stay the whole day, but I did. I think Jane just told me, like, I'll go and cover it and then come back to the office, but I don't think I actually came back.
But it's funny. You look at Eugene and you look at the ideas come out and the mentalities. It's in hairdressing to achieve and try and do something and push ideas.
Yeah. Whether
it's hairdressing or cutting hair, because again, it just takes me back when I watch Eugene. It takes me back to the days of when we came out with haircuts called a weave cut, where we'd look at a colorist and we'd take a pair of scissors and weave the hair out, and then by cutting it, say 2 inches, and then the other section 4 inches, you get this double haircut, which would be great on naturally curly hair. And the weave cut now is a common name, but no one knew it then.
It's interesting that you said before that there were hair cutters and hairdressers, because now I feel like there's just hairdressers as a blanket term, and then and obviously colorists. How do you feel about the blanket term of a hairdresser?
Well, this is the times we live in. Before coming back, the blanket term hairdresser. Whoa.
Like your company?
No. It's the script.
So you don't go off course?
Well, of course. So, you know, we were saying, I love the blanket term now because at the end of the day, everybody needs to learn the trade properly.
Yeah.
The colouring, cutting, blow drying, conditioning, and actually know how the hair works to be able to keep the condition of the hair. You know, there's so many different areas within hairdressing, and I actually like that. But the problem is, too many people, this is just from my point of view, too many people treat hair as material rather than something that's, you know, organic and natural growing out of their head. So the hair, in the end, is stressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. So for me, you know, I'm more of an organic hairdresser. That's all you know, I only change hats when I go into a session studio to create something different. Otherwise, I don't force hair to do what it doesn't want to do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm working with some, sorry, I've just thought about it now. I'm working with some really cool people who, you know, we're walking the same roads and we just keep smiling at each other. And her name's Tabitha, and she's just this cool lady with her husband, there's James. And then there's a, you know, not pushing products, and just something I really like, because hairdressing and the hair products are quite interesting. Over the years, it's always about wash your hair every day, and condition it every day, which actually isn't that good for your hair and scalp.
Yeah.
And Tabitha's come up with the idea, well, it's an old school Asian and African idea, to kind of wash your hair maybe once a week, maybe every 4 days. And the whole ethos of the Tabitha James Crown products would be interesting for you to look at at some point.
Yeah, I find that though, I don't wash my hair obviously every day, sometimes not even every week, because that's something that I feel like in the Afro hairdressing world isn't pushed upon us.
Well, it's just different. We're just culturally different, but hair does transcend the whole gambit. So people with naturally curly hair, they need to know you don't need to wash it every day. They need to know you have to add moisture, and a lot of them don't know that.
Interesting. So Heather has said on Facebook, I'm loving your story. Did you travel the world educating like Vidal told you?
What? Yeehaw! I'll get that one in. People will know me for that. So again, Vidal, just a step back, gave me a little suitcase and said, off you go. And I didn't stop traveling for like 20, 25 years.
Wow.
From Italy to Japan, from South Africa to to Palestine. I mean, I've been everywhere, man.
But that like, I find that I don't travel half as much as you have, but I find that whenever I travel, I get more inspired to be a better version, be a better employee and be a better writer and stuff. So I'm sure that has helped you become a better hairdresser for sure.
Well, it's connected me with hairdressers around the world, and that's the key. And a lot of them are still friends. I remember going to Chicago. Mario Tricosi was the name of the company. And, you know, I remember stepping into a salon, but I thought I hadn't actually reached the salon. I thought I stepped into a mall, and it was the salon.
Wow.
A shopping mall that looked like a salon. Yeah, escalators going up to one floor, escalators going down to another, had everything. Men having, you know, esthetician work. I mean, it was just incredible.
Like a beauty and hair destination.
Exactly. But again, back in the early 90s, who did that? You know,
what would you say is in your opinion, the best and worst hair decade?
For me, that's I can't answer that. I can't answer that because.
Or okay, your favorite and least favorite to work in.
So at the moment, this is my most favorite to work in because I'm seeing girls like yourself with natural hair. You know what I'm saying. You know, whether it's bigger. It's bigger. Yeah. You can sit there. You can be in an office. My mother had to wear wigs to work. You know, cover her own head, etc., etc. Mind you, she looked fantastic. She looked like Millie out of My Boy Lollipop. I mean, she was Millie, my mother.
She was in my quiz that I've told you about earlier.
I remember having
Really
to
small.
I remember I had to buy her wigs, you know, when she went back to Jamaica, and you know, she'd run there to the airport to collect me, and have like a bag full of wigs. You know,
You'd have your barrel, but the barrel would just be full of wigs.
those are the days you could carry them on board with me.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, I used to cut hair on board planes back in the day.
You could bring scissors on a plane?
On plane, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. But you know, on shoots, we used to, you know, would do everybody's hair. It was funny. But anyway, back to my mother. She just loved these little wigs that we used to bring back. Sorry, a tangent. I'm just thinking about my mother and the white wig.
Oh.
You know. Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know what your opinion is, but at the moment, for me, I definitely think it's gotten better because you have the freedom to wear your hair as a black woman however you want. So if you want to wear wigs, like my mum wears a wig, you can wear a wig. If you want to wear it straight, you can wear it straight. But if you also want to just wear it the way that it grows out your hair, you can.
Yeah. And that's 2020 now. You know, you can change your hair like changing clothes, and there's no problem with that.
Yeah.
But the best thing is, you can wear it natural, and people wouldn't say to you, "You're not dressed for work."
Yeah, I think some industries still have a way to go with that. I think creative industries definitely, but I definitely don't think like if you're like a lawyer, in some you know companies.
Yeah, I do see it in America a little bit. I do see it here. But
yeah,
it's starting to open up. It's starting to be a bit more, you know, characterful, personality, cultural, the whole thing. You know, I'm just going, again, we're just talking here, you know, some of the worst things and the best things that you asked me earlier on. I think one story that comes out that was quite a shocking little story for me was I was on a shoot once. I think we're in Montana. Is it Montana?
Montana?
Yeah, Montana. Shooting for a magazine called Esquire.
Yeah.
And there's a wonderful photographer by the name of Jonathan Glyn Smith. You know, great name. He's about the same height as me, 5'5", but if he sees this, he'll be laughing. And we're like cruising around, you know, beautiful wild Montana on horses and stuff, and staying at cowboy ranches in these great Winnebagos. Models were from Manchester, classic mop top lads and haircuts. Wow. And it was Halloween. I'm just coming out with a story. It was Halloween, and one of the cowboys said, "Let's take you out for a drink, you guys. Jump in the Winnebago. Let me take you to a bar." Mm-hmm. God. So we're all in this bar, or you know, the fashion lot. So we roll up, and the bar's called 4X's with 4 neon signs in the front. Had pickup trucks outside with guns in the back. Oh, the guns had to be shown by law in Montana. We asked that question. Okay. And the guys all ran in to get the drinks in, and within seconds they were all running out, you know, like screaming. I've never heard Mancunians scream before, but scary. All looking, going, "Lance, don't go in that bar." So obviously I went in the bar, and at the end of the bar was like 20 feet long, something like this, jukebox. But what I saw was 2 guys head to toe in white at the end of the bar. Oh my God. And there I was, a hairdresser from Handsworth. Had to go up to them because I'm thinking this is a Halloween. And I went up to these 2 guys who put the hats on the side, and I said to them both, and Jonathan was there going, "Lance, what are you doing?" I said to them, "I like your Halloween outfits." And they turned around to me, that John Wayne drawl, "It's for real?" Oh God. So there I am with the KKK for the first time, having a little discussion about the whole situation. Wow. The guys who dropped us off there pulled me out, put us in the Winnebago, drove us out of town, and said, your shoot is over. So I have stories like that. That was that was a tough moment. Yeah. So how do you feel at the moment with everything that's currently going on, like with the movement, with Black Lives Matter? Well, it's needed. It's needed because, you know, it's a shame that what's happened has happened. But from my background, things like this have been happening all the time. And I see all sides of the street. You know, I'm 65 now, so I know racism and institutionalized racism. I've been there myself. I could give you another story if people want to listen to that one, which is... go for it. Well, everyone's saying like so many great stories. But this one will scare them.
Less great that last one, obviously, but yeah.
It's the truth. It's the true story.
Yeah, go for it, Lance.
I mean, just very quickly, I'm going to shout out to a couple of people. Stephen Moody just got in touch with me. Amazing hairdresser, ran Vidal Sassoon in LA, up until he decided to, travel the world himself, and then for himself. A good chap. Stephen, give us a shout if you're listening. So back,
I'll let you know if you comment.
Yeah, but if it's right. So when I was in Birmingham, someone's just clicked me now. Birmingham. I used to come down from Birmingham to London to do my training. I'd have a house in Birmingham, and I'd come down.
Yeah.
Finish the day, jump on a train, go back to Birmingham, collect my girlfriend in my little car, go home. One evening, I'm doing that little journey. I see a fast car on the opposite side of the road, zooming past. I see the police chasing this car, and I'm thinking, thank God it's on the other side of the road. All of a sudden, that car swerves across the road, over the dual carriageway, smashes into me. My girlfriend at the time was a potential model. We both get cut over the same eye, blood everywhere. She'd broken her arm, everywhere. The guy in the stolen car, wasn't black, I'd say, runs off. The policeman jumps out the car, comes up to me and says, I'm arresting you at the scene of a crime. What? I said, well, why is that? There's the guy running off. Well, no, you're here. What's your address? I gave him my address. He says, London address, Birmingham. Why do you have two addresses? Why?
Yeah.
The next day, went to the station. Fantastic silver fox chap in his proper policeman's hat, all the colours on, introduced me, sat me down, and I thought, yes, I'm going to get some justice here. And he laid into me saying, you can't take us to any, tribunal. Nothing happened. It was an accident. Wow. Go away. A couple of years later, this story's great. A couple of years later, obviously, my girlfriend at the time had it. That was over.
Okay.
I was out with another young lady, and she said that a new relationship. She said to me, Lance, I've got a big birthday coming up. I know we've just met, but could you help us out? I said, great. Where is it? It's going to be in a marquee in Stratford-upon-Avon. It's where she lived. It's going to be lots of people. Could you be a waiter on this? And I went, yeah, I'll help you. So I got a beautiful blue suit and got introduced to the parents on the day. This is my new boyfriend. They were very cool. I'm doing the waiter thing, helping out everybody. I've been introduced, and then I hear this voice from the other side of the marquee. Stop! I know you in a professional capacity. And I looked around and I thought, I don't know you. Have I done your daughter's hair? I don't know. Yeah. And he came up to me because he wasn't in uniform. I said, I arrested you at the scene of a crime of that crash.
No.
He looked at me and I went, yes, but I had to leave. I had to leave at that moment. So there you go. I put that down to institutionalized racism, folks.
Have you felt like that your skin color has set you back in the industry at all? Like, just honestly.
I mean, when you're born in the early 50s and you're the first black kid in the school, and you've got character. And they ask you to dance at age 7, and you're dancing for the whole school, and you don't think anything of it until 30 years later. You're thinking, why was I dancing at assembly for the whole school? And then they say there's a Christmas play on, and we're going to put you in the Christmas play, and it's Peter and the Wolf, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be Peter, man, and they make you the wolf, and the tail was very nice.
It is when you think back to all those kind of times, you're like, why did that happen? Why didn't it? Yeah, but what can you do? Like, we can obviously do stuff now, but
and I was the only one. So to put this in perspective, in 1963, I'd go to my little. This is the English and the American difference. Mm-hmm. I'd go to my school on my own, round the corner. In 1963, how old was I? 7 or something, or 8? I'm not sure. But in 1963 in America, a little black girl was being escorted to a school, which will be the first black girl in that school.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's just different nuances of racism and injustice, isn't it, across?
So in my secondary school, I was before Michael Jackson. My hair was already out. I was already part of the Soledad Brothers at 12. I was already Black Power. I was already reading Angela Davis.
Yeah.
You know, before Michael Jackson.
Oh. Just so you know, there's like loads and loads of questions here. Well, loads of comments. So everyone's saying great stories. Like one of our most talented and creative hairdressers, brilliant memories. Vicky Buckley has said, wow, I love Lance Lowe. I've had one of his best. I had one of my best cutting courses with him when I was 19, and his techniques have stayed with me forever.
Oh, bless.
What would you say, Lance, is your biggest achievement so far in your career? It doesn't have to be like a moment. It could just be like.
Yeah, no, my biggest achievement. I think my biggest achievement is just this one statement. The one statement that I carry with me from school.
You okay? Oh, Lance. Don't, because I cry all the time. Don't make me cry. You can take a moment.
So that statement was simply, be true to yourself.
Oh, Lance. I wish I could give you a hug. Oh.
And what you see here is somebody who's genuine.
Yeah. I'll give you a big virtual hug.
Everybody, come on. Let's all have a little tear. Together.
In isolation. Oh, Lance. Well, clearly, like, from all these comments, you're so, like,
tears are flowing.
People said we need a Lance biography.
I'm going to go and dance any minute. Leave the package outside, sir.
Oh, Lance, we're going to have to wrap it up soon, so I'm going to ask you a few more questions, if that's okay. Is that okay? I don't want to...
Oh, dear. I'm going to have to take a bite of banana. Go for it, Bab.
I want to actually talk about your dancing, because that's something that really drew me to your Instagram, and just the differentness of it amongst all the beautiful hair pictures, obviously, that I get to see.
But can you see though that I'm passionate? Can you see?
So passionate.
And hairdressing, people. That's my thing. That's what I love about the whole world of hair and beauty.
I think you're an empath.
I'll look that one up.
Yeah,
you.
You are. But yeah, let's talk about your dancing.
Dancing since the age of 7. The nice thing about dance, the nice thing about that is that I had a double career. While I was training and I had no money, I would be in this dance crew that I created with my brother and a couple of other guys from Birmingham. We call ourselves Expansions. And that was taken from a wonderful guy's album, Lonnie Liston Smith and the Cosmic Echoes. So Google that one, Lonnie Liston Smith. You need to get his music. Amazing.
I've got a huge list that I'm going to have to go through after this webinar.
So he came to Birmingham back in the 70s through an amazing DJ, probably the best DJ in the world, and I mean that from the heart. His name's Colin Curtis. He's this white-haired guru of a DJ that brought over Northern Soul with another guy. True story. True story. So I used to go up and down with these guys, dancing from club to club, whether it be Wigan Casino, Blackpool Mecca, or Ibiza and all the rest of it, and we do fairly well. So I'm one of those guys that was actually trained. I trained jazz ballet. I used to go to Pineapple, have the leg warmers on, all before fame. I did it all before fame. So that's when dancing came. Amazing. And I still dance now at 65, and I don't mind. Daddy dance.
I love watching you dance around it when you're cutting. I just think it's so great. That's me. That's my me being you.
Yeah. No, but everybody should have a hobby, and that's one of mine.
And a hobby that works alongside your job, but also isn't monetized. It's just
exactly. I mean, for example, I'm just going back to Fashion Week, you know, you'd go into a show and I'd bring my own music, and everybody does that now. But I'd bring my own music and boombox and lay it down. And I remember working with a wonderful designer who sadly passed away as well a couple of years ago, Joe Casely Hayford. And Joe, I was on one of his shows back in the past. And
back in the day, just say it.
Fun hard not to say. But you know what was so wonderful was, and we both didn't know it. Well, you probably did, but I didn't. We were at that moment, one black designer, one black hairdresser, 40 models, middle of London.
Oh.
It never registered until 20 years later. Never registered. And then I would go off to Japan. I would go off to Japan and do my own little tours of hairdressing around there, and I'd bump into his his clothes were in certain shops, so I'd always make sure I'd pick his clothes for my models. So I could be in Osaka or Nagano or Nagoya, but I'd get Joe's clothes on there. Great.
Yeah, and that this is now obviously been publicized on social media, but this is something that you've always been doing.
Yeah.
Throughout your career, supporting other black artists. So.
Oh, totally. And it works both ways. Both ways. But for me to see now at 2020 that there are lots of great hairdressers, black and white, but there's a few more black people coming through, which is great, but still not enough. And I don't understand that. When I look at the corporate big companies, it's just a handful. And when I look at the top of those companies, I don't see anybody.
No.
But I do understand that, because I was at that point. I was at that point myself back in the salons in the 90s and 80s. I could see that I wasn't going to go anywhere else, because they actually told me that. They sat me in a room and said, Lance, boom, 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 boom. And if any of those guys, I can mention names now, but if those guys are watching, there's no malice, no nothing. I understand that was the institutionalized vibe of the day, which hasn't.
There was a glass ceiling.
Yeah, which hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
But where I've been lucky is that just get this one out, is I've not looked back. Then when I left Sassoons, I've not really explained what I did when I left Sassoons. In '91, I opened up an agency, a hair and makeup and a photography agency, which was amazing. It took off like a rocket with a party. It took off like a rocket. And then I joined these guys, Shipton Leighton, and I was Shipton Leighton Lowe. And we had like 40 odd staff. We had a hair and makeup agency, and that was doing really well. But sometimes partnerships don't work. We'll leave it at that. But the idea, I went through that period.
Yeah.
The idea worked there, and then from then on, I did a few other little salons, which were great. Opened up a restaurant, and closed a restaurant. I've done so many amazing things.
Yeah.
I'm still smiling.
That's so good.
This thing, the Secret Salon London, for the sign of the times, perfect. I've looked at what's happening to salons now, that these big spaces are having to form cubicles. But here, where I am, it's 1 in, 1 out, 2-hour appointments.
Yeah.
They're part of the family. Obviously, I've got all the protocols in place, the PPE protocols in place, because I'm a phlebotomist. I'm trained now, so I understand how it should be. And it's private. I have a beautiful garden at front and back.
Oh, that's so good. Lance, we have to wrap it up now. I could honestly sit and talk
to you. Let me cry some more. I need to cry.
But can you let people know where they can find you? What's your Instagram handle?
So I'm simply known as the Underground Hairdresser, Secret Salon London.
Yeah.
Come and find me, Holland Park, Notting Hill. And I just have to say a shout out, just in case he's listening, to my mate Anthony Cristiano, Chicago. He has a great salon. I'm going to say, Anthony, I know you're in Trump Tower, Chicago, but if anyone's over there, but this guy is cool.
Yeah.
Please go visit him. Go and see my mate Stephen Moody. He's a really good, and obviously a few of my homie boys, the barbers in London. I could mention names, but they know who they are. They're cool.
Perfect.
Okay.
Lance, it's been my absolute pleasure to listen to your stories, and I hope that we can connect again. And thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And Tabitha, if you're listening, say hello to Tabitha, everybody, and thank you.
Hi, Tabitha.
Try the
All
bronze.
right, Lance.
Yeah.
Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye, lovely. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. I'm gonna do.
Woo!
Ciao, ciao.